Okay, let's get cracking then. So, good morning all. My name's Steve Mead. For those of you who don't know me, I work alongside Ian White and Stephen Brown, Agency Mentors. So, good morning all. My name's Steve Mead. Sorry, you can hear me now on my Facebook Live. I do apologise. Yeah, so I work alongside Ian and Stephen at Agency Mentors. Effectively, we're a training, mentoring and consultancy specialist for the property sector. Over the next few weeks, we will be doing a number of webinars. Those of you, there may have been a few of you who are on today that were on Wednesday, when I was joined by the same gentleman with today, who is John Davies, good friend of mine, associate. Morning, John. How are you doing?
Good, Steve. Thank you very much. Morning, everybody.
John,
as you say, yeah.
It is, mate. It is. John works very closely with Agency Mentors. He does all our leadership and management training, team development, and we've called upon him and his expertise basically to help us out with a few webinars over the coming weeks. And today we're going to be talking about the 12 top tips for working from home. How you can best work, make it worthwhile, how you can make it as productive as possible. The format basically will be, the webinar is going to last about 45 to 60 minutes. We will split, or we will break, should I say, halfway through so that we can take any questions. You should have a Q&A at the bottom of your screen. If you want to ask a question anytime during the webinar, please do so, and we'll get to you and we'll try and get as many questions answered as possible. And we'll obviously at the end, if there's anything else that you want to ask John, then we can hopefully we can bring you in as well on audio. We tried this the other day, but we weren't too successful. So we'll give it another go today. But if not, I can ask the questions on your behalf. So it's not a problem. So John, over to you, my friend.
Lovely, thank you, Steve. Morning, everybody. You know, many people think that working from home is easy. Well, here's the thing: it's not as easy as we think, is it? You know, juggling life, working around the family, kids, who are all off school as well at this moment, remaining productive with our work while supporting our own mental and physical well-being can prove to be pretty tricky. So to help you to adjust from office to home, that transition, I'm going to share with you some things that you can do. So I'll just fire my screen up and we'll move into our presentation, Steve. There we go. Just pop that up if we may, like so. So Steve, can you confirm that you're now seeing the screen for me? Everybody's now got the video, yeah?
They have. They should have. 12 tips to make working from home productive and worthwhile, John.
Thank you, Steve. Much appreciated. Good stuff. So to help you with that transition then, the three key areas that we're going to take a look at, which will help you, are as follows. We're going to look at the structure of how to work at home. What's the best thing we can do in terms of the structure? We're going to look at actions that you personally can take to be more productive with your time. And we're also going to look at development as well. Key things that you can do to make you more valuable for the future when we all get out of this. So do me a favor, grab a pen, take some notes. Somebody once said to me that the shortest pencil is always better than the longest memory. So write it down and let's get to it. First of all, I want to ask you a question. When did you personally last have 6 weeks off? Well, don't panic because I found a picture of you. There you go. That's the last time we all had 6 weeks off, isn't it? Certainly was for me anyway. I think Steve still got that cap, I believe.
I have, mate. I have, yeah.
Absolutely. So working from home is the ultimate gift of trust from a workplace, to be perfectly honest with you. So let's not waste our opportunity. So I'm going to take you through first, before we actually dive into our tips, I'm going to take you through a really important diagram. Some of you may have heard of this, some of you may not. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Now, Abraham Harold Maslow was an American psychologist who wrote a paper on the human motivators. I think it would be good for us to reflect on the content, as it will help us understand how we may be feeling and behaving right now. There's 5 levels to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These levels begin from the most basic needs to advanced needs. Maslow originally thought that a person needed to completely satisfy one level before pursuing the further levels. And a more modern perspective on that is that each of these levels overlaps. As a person reaches higher levels of motivation, it's more directed to that next level. Their main focus is always on achieving the higher levels, but they will still continue to need and pursue those lower levels, but with less intensity. So let's take a look at that first one, the first level of psychological needs. And that's the lowest level. Here, the most essential thing a person needs to survive must be met. And of course, that's shelter, water, food, warmth, all those kind of things. And we've all got that. We've got our houses, and most of us have got those things covered. And there's the odd person, as we know, that hasn't, but most of us are pretty much, our psychological needs here are being met. We've got water and food, shelter, we get sleep, we've got clothing, and the rest, as we said, is good. So when we move to the second level, this is an interesting one. This is where this level consists of safety needs. So security needs. This relates to a person's need to feel safe and secure in their life and surroundings. Our motivation here comes from the need for law, order, protection, and protection from unpredictable and dangerous conditions. And you know what? This is where we may be finding ourselves struggling, some of us. Some of us are feeling insecure, anxious, and conditions at this moment in time are unpredictable and in some cases dangerous. The thing to remember, guys and gals, here is that we don't travel alone. The saying, we're all in the same boat, in this context is actually untrue. We're certainly not in the same boat, but we're all on the same seas. We're in what's known as the VUCA environment. VUCA environment. Now, the VUCA concept was created by the US military in the Gulf War to describe the pattern of the battlefield. They described it as a volatile, fast-paced and moving environment. It became uncertain. In the Gulf War, there were new different tactics that needed to be devised. It certainly was complex, ambiguous, not enough clear information showing up to make well-informed decisions in order to move us forward. So the way to steer through where we are at this moment in time is to take control of the areas that we can work on. Yeah, we can work on. So the first thing we need to do is craft a vision for ourselves, a goal to achieve whilst we're working from home. The next thing is to look at the strength of the goal. This will give us an understanding of how to act for the next few weeks and bring us that clarity around what we want. And when we have a goal and clarity, we can take action towards it in a real agile way. So whilst we're here today, I'd like you to really think carefully about some of the goals that you could achieve in the time that you've now got available. Let's dive back to Maslow again. Level 3 is important for us to feel human, yeah? For human beings to feel stable, connected, and that unfortunately is a need at this moment in time that we're struggling with as well. You know, we can't see our loved ones, some of us. We can't to connect with people on a physical sense. We're doing it by phone. Now, I can see my 86-year-old dad on a video call, just about, if he can remember which button to press. I certainly can see my daughters, and I've got my wife by my side, so I'm a lucky one. However, some of you and some of your colleagues may be missing this vital need at this highest of level in order to feel that this need is being met at the highest levels. Yeah. So take time to check in with them. Connection is going to be really important right now. Whenever any of the stages are not being met at the right levels, we can feel a little bit out of sorts. One level feeds another, and it feels difficult for us to feel on purpose and complete. The fourth level of Maslow's hierarchy is where esteem kicks in, self-respect. And this is where a person needs recognition, needs to feel respected. And again, you know, we're struggling in this one, aren't we? We're not getting that pat on the back that we used to get in the workplace, the appreciation as much as we could. And once someone has fulfilled this level, we've got this level, number 5 there, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is self-actualization. This relates to the potential that we have and achieving that potential inside of us. At this level, people are striving to become the best that they can possibly be. So guys and girls, from here on in, what we're going to look at is what things can we do at home that will help us appreciate some of these levels that need to be met in order for us to feel complete and on purpose. So let's take a look at the 12 tips to making working from home productive and worthwhile. So the first tip that we're going to look at is this one, and I would imagine a few of you have already done this, but it's setting up a clear workspace. It's massively important that we bring some feng shui, or whatever they call it, into our home today. That clear workspace, not a cluttered workspace, some place where we can go, sit down and enter into work mode, but also where we can step out of it and move away from it so that we now know work mode is over. So really important that we've got that space in our home, if wherever possible. That's difficult if you've got little kids and pets running around. However, for you to be in the zone, you need to find that space where you can get at your work and concentrate clearly. Believe it or not, a cluttered desk really does drain the energy. Now, talking of energy, after 5 minutes on stage, Louis C.K. had the audience at the Beacon Theatre erupting in laughter. He didn't just grab the microphone, start cracking new jokes as a comedian, and everyone magically started laughing. No. He knew exactly what his audience would find funny because he previously tested these jokes at smaller venues. By the way, the Beacon Theatre is a historic venue in New York City. Now, what he learned from this is when a joke stuck, and he'd use it in his new venue. When it flopped, he wouldn't say that joke again. He became successful by experimenting with new jokes. Now, here's the thing. Although we may have a few jokes up our sleeves, we aren't full-time comedians. Yet, like comedians, we all want to improve at our job. But we can't improve if we don't try new things, if we don't experiment, if we don't learn. And if we don't learn, it's impossible to improve. The same goes for becoming more productive. If we don't experiment with new tactics, we won't learn how to get things done faster. If we can't get things done faster, we're probably going to be slower to improve. Improving productivity really boils down to one core idea: using self-reported data to truly understand when we're most energized throughout our working day. Truly, the only way to improve productivity is through personal experimentation. You know, I can tell you that during the mornings after working out, I feel energized. And then, of course, I have a little nap after lunch. I feel energized when I wake up. But if I have to go to work, do some work around 6 o'clock, that's when I'm most tired. I'm not at my fullest. Now, this is me and not you. So here's the process I use for understanding my daily energy flow. Because of our ultradian rhythms, I separate my day into 90-minute intervals. I start at 9 o'clock and finish at 10:30, and then go from 10:30 to 12 o'clock. And after each of my 90-day intervals is over, I rate my perceived energy on a scale from 1 to 5. It takes 2 seconds to do this, guys. And after a few weeks of analyzing my data, I managed to find out exactly when I'm at my best version of me. And that allowed me to plan to do high energy tasks at the right time and to do those low energy things when I was less energetic. And don't forget, energy pushed through people produces results. So the more energized you are as an individual, the easier the workload will appear. So here's the process, how you can start to track your daily energy. It takes less than a minute to set up. Seek to understand and identify when you as an individual are at your most productive and schedule your home workload around that. When is your energy at your peak? Are you a morning person, or do you need 5 coffees and a fag to thaw out by lunchtime? Does your energy wane in the afternoon? Finding the time when you feel energized and at your best will require you to tune into your emotional intelligence. How are you really feeling? What are you really noticing in your body? Now, guys and girls, it's my intention at the end of this seminar to send Steve a toolkit full of material that you can use to support the actions and tips in this webinar. So watch out for them in your email. Steve will send them. And I'm going to send you an energy log. It's an interesting and quite revealing tool. It will help you understand how to be more productive. Now, talking of being more productive, let's move on to tip number 3. Do me a favor. Avoid the weapons of mass distraction. Now, when you're working from home, you know, I bet you're hooked, like a lot of people. I bet you've had a quick peek while you've even been on here with me right now. Some of you can't let it go. You wish you had a like button to like the like you've just liked. Let it go. Social media is the thief of time. Social media is the thief of time. Look at these statistics. It's saying that 2 hours, 23 minutes a day, that's 16 hours plus a week. I'll leave you to work out how much a month and annually. That's mental. If you pan it out over a month or worse, a year, it's worse. I lost 10 minutes trying to find a graphic to explain it. More importantly, how much time did the people waste trying to find how much time people had wasted? Mental. If you want to be more productive whilst working at home, turn it all off. Avoid the distractions. Now, talking of being more productive, hang on, that's the 3rd time I've mentioned the word productive. It must be a theme here. Let's take a look at tip number 4. Reminding yourself to avoid other distractions on that journey as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pomodoro technique. The what? The Pomodoro technique. Steve, it's not from the Kama Sutra, mate, I can assure you. The
God for that.
Pomodoro technique is a time management method developed by Francesco Cirillo in the late 80s. The technique uses a timer to break down workload into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks. It allows you to achieve so much more. Here's a fact for you. 95% of people say they find it a struggle to focus when they're at home. Now, how many of you listening to me have not spotted the error in the slide? Stay focused when you're working from home. As I mentioned already, don't allow distractions to throw you off track. If you're going to be productive whilst working at home, you must put yourself into the here and now. You've got to stop time traveling. You've got to stop thinking about the things of the past. You've got to stop thinking about what might happen in the future. If you are going to be your most productive, you need to be fully present in your now. So let's have a look and see how this technique works. It allows you to work with time instead of struggling against time. It's a revolutionary time management system. It's incredibly simple to learn and life-changing to use. So here's how it works. Step 1, choose a task that you'd like to get done. You know, maybe something big, something small, some piece of work that you've been putting off. It doesn't matter what that task is. What matters is that task deserves your full and undivided attention. Set a timer for 25 minutes, no more, no less, 25 minutes. And now immerse yourself fully into that task for 25 minutes. Do not allow any interruptions. You can do it. After all, it's just 25 minutes. Now, here's the thing. When the timer goes off, very, very straightforward. Once that timer's gone off, stop. Work on the task with full immersion until it goes off. But once it's gone off, stop. Put a tick on a piece of paper. You've spent an entire interruption-less Pomodoro of 25 minutes on a task. Now, whilst you may not have finished that task, from a psychological point of view, a tick signifies a completion. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, achievement. On to step 5. When the 25 minutes are off and you've ticked your piece of paper, take a 5-minute break. Breathe, meditate, whatever it is you do, grab a coffee. Your brain will thank you later. Now, this short break does a couple of things. It resets your thinking pattern. It brings clarity. And when you get back to the task, you'll have more energy. Remember what we said, energy pushed through people produces results for us. So taking 5 minutes out of that complete and utter immersion to step away, walk about, shifts your physiology and shifts the way that you think. If you think about this break as well, neuroscience has proven to us that meditating for 10 minutes restores the mind to a similar level of energy as sleeping for an hour. So just that breathing technique as well. Now, meditation is the mind's version of washing your hands. It's cleansing and refreshing. It gets rid of all that negative stuff. There's free versions of meditation on apps like Headspace or Insight Timer. Now, while you've had your 5 minutes and you've grabbed your cup of coffee, off you go again. Come and sit down and set the timer and go again for another 25 minutes. And after 4 lots of 25 minutes, take a longer break. Take a 20-minute or a 30-minute break. Your brain will use this time to assimilate new information and rest before the next round of the Pomodoros. It's a simple technique, but very effective. J.K. Rowling used the method for writing a book and for a few others. It will help you be more productive. The key here is uninterrupted focus and total and utter immersion into that task. Listen, once you've got the hang of it, you'll be able to accurately predict how many 25 minutes, how many Pomodoros it will take to accomplish the task that you've got to do tomorrow or next month. Give it a try. It worked for me. Focused me no end. It was a great tool. Now, talking of no end, here's that theme again, tip number 5. Make sure that when you're working from home, you set a starting time and a finishing time. We're creatures of habit. You had a habit when you got up and you went to work. It's easy to coast into your newly feng shuied workplace at 11 o'clock and retire back to the cocktail cabinet at 3 o'clock. All right, I'll be realistic, 1:30 if we're lucky, I suppose. As I've already said, create your workspace. It's ideal for your productivity and your sanity. If you can open the door to work at the beginning of the day and close it again at the end of the day, it will help you. If it's not feasible to work your normal 9 to 5, that's fine too. Just define the working hours that you can achieve within your home setting. Seriously, create a habit. Start and finish to your home working day and stick to it. It'll also bring some clarity to those around you, to your partner, to your family, that kind of thing. And they'll start to recognize your habit and your behavior, and they'll recognize when you can approach you and when they can't approach you. And like we said before, if you don't get those distractions and interruptions, then you'll be free to complete your task so much more easily. So set a start time and a completion time. And that gives you more times to connect with the family when you're out of work mode. Now, talking of connecting to others, maintaining your connections is going to be crucial if you're working from home. Connecting with people. Home working can feel very isolating because we aren't naturally in the company of others. And if you think back to Maslow, we need that connection. Reach out to your colleagues and to your managers at least once a day. Have a conversation that's not just about work. Talk about how they're all feeling, how they're getting on. Find out what's going on in their world. You know, connection is a two-way thing. So don't expect people to necessarily make the first move. Take ownership for yourselves. Reach out to people. Now, I'm sure you're doing some of this anyway. If your workplace has a team platform like Yammer or Workspace or Team, use it. Check in on others as to what they're doing. Connect with the environment around you. We are part of a world that's so much bigger than us at this moment in time. I think this current situation that we're finding ourselves in is bringing more people together. You look at the news, when you watch those people coming outside celebrating the NHS, I bet most of those people didn't know each other. They walked past each other in the street and they lived 3 or 4 doors away. We're not good at connecting. So this is a great opportunity for us. And here's the bizarre thing about this. We're not good at it, and yet actually we thrive on it. Connection makes us feel good. Now, talking of feeling good, share your successes of the day. This appeals to level 4 on Maslow's hierarchy. protecting our self-esteem. You know, on my senior leadership retreats, I've shared with leaders and people the art of walking around the business and catching people doing things right in order to recognize their achievements and praise them. Praising people makes them feel good. It gives them a high level of self-esteem. It protects their self-image. A leader's job is to make people feel $1 million. Now, as a result of lockdown, that is becoming difficult to fulfill. So in this instance, catching yourself doing something right, completing a task, winning some business, achieving a goal, hence the tick in the Pomodoro effect, is going to be a real useful tool for you. But this time, share it with others through the power of connection. Share it with others through the power of connection. Find a work buddy you can call. Make the call. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them to share their successes. Acknowledge their achievements, and then you can tell your story of today. From a psychological point of view, with a little bit of effort and connection, we can help others feel really good about their efforts, even from working from home. Talking of personal goals, well, we were, weren't we? Steve, do you think now would be a good time to take some questions before I ramp on? There's a little bit more to do, not much, but what's your thought?
I think so. Yeah, some good points coming through, John.
Okay. Shall I stop the sharing and then come back to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Lawrence Lown, I do apologise, Lawrence, if I've said your name incorrectly, says habits are crucial when working alone, never mind just from home. So yeah, get into the habit on a regular basis doing what you're doing. A couple of questions, John. Would you structure?
Sorry, Steve, go for it.
No, go ahead. Say what you.
I was just going to say I'm going to talk about habits in a minute. Funny enough, Lawrence. Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay. So, would you structure your day exactly as you've previously done in the office, or should we look at a different way of working? I think you've gone into a little bit of that anyway. But have you got anything specific to say on that?
Yeah, I would. When I send you the toolkit out, guys, I would do that energizer session and find out when you are your most productive. Here's the thing about work at the moment in time. We're committed, aren't we? We're obligated to a pattern of behaviour, which is 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Yeah, and in that 9 to 5, we're probably not at our most effective in some hours of that working day. So whilst you're working at home, don't stretch yourself to have to do a 9 to 5 if you can't be productive. Find out from the energy analyzer when you're going to be at your best, your most productive, when you can really concentrate and apply yourself into the task. And that actually might be in 2 sessions, the working day. You know, here's the thing, Steve. We're at a stage now where innovation is going to be critical moving forward. You know, who said the working day has to be like the working day that we're known? You know, we're constantly out there innovating. I'm going to talk about innovation later, but there will be people out there who will now seek out new methods of doing things. So be an innovator. But most important thing is, when you're doing your work, you need to be in the zone, in the right headspace, mentally prepared, energized, but immersed and focused. Completion comes from immersion and focus. Now, one of the challenges you've got out there, Steve, as well, with the guys and gals is this. Some of us are really great innovators. We're great idea makers. We can come up with a fantastic idea, but we can't implement it. Some of us can pick up an idea, run with it, but we can't complete it. Then there's others out there who can pick up something, finish it, and get it over the line. It's very, very difficult, very unusual for everybody to be absolutely fantastic at all 3. Knowing where your weaknesses are in that process. Am I a completer finisher? Am I a maintainer? Am I a ideas creator? Knowing where your weaknesses are and working on your strength is something that I would be doing while I'm at home at this moment in time to try and understand that. And I'm going to talk about a strength analyzer in a minute.
Okay.
But being more productive. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
So, yeah, we've got another one for you. How would you've spoken about this a little bit with the Pomodoro method, but how would you utilize your breaks and how frequently would you take them? I mean, as an example, I will get up in the morning. If I know I've got a whole day working from home, which historically I've had that, I've got 6 or 7 tasks that I know I've got to complete. And as long as I know I've got the time to do that, if during the day I want to take an hour out to go to the gym, or if I want to go for a walk or whatever, I do that. So whilst I get the Pomodoro method, and for a lot of people who need structure, that will work. Mine's a little bit more sort of all over the place. Is it all right to be like that, or should we have some structure in place? Or do you think it depends on the individual and how disciplined they are?
Well, Steve, here's the thing. We're all totally unique, aren't we? We all have a different approach. No one knows how we work better than us. Yeah. So my thoughts are on it. You have to structure what feels right, what feels comfortable for you. When we think about time management, I would look at the task list that I've got to achieve today, and I would actually rate the tasks in order of urgency and importance. So I would attach an A, B, or a C to it. So the A is an urgent task. That's something that I really must get done now, today. It's got to be done, full stop, no choice. A B would be, you know what, this is a task that, again, I can start it, but it doesn't necessarily need to be completed today, but I could start it today if I've got time. And a C task would be something, you know what, wouldn't it be brilliant if I do this? Does that make sense? It's that hierarchy of tasks. A, important, must get done. B, I could start it, but I don't necessarily need to finish it. C, if I've got some time, yeah, I might have a little dabble at it. So I would rate my tasks, so I've got that clarity around what needs to be done. In terms of taking breaks, though, Steve, you know, sometimes you can get into a task and you just can't get the flow of it. You just can't. It's not coming. You're just not working out how's this. It's not coming together. I'm trying to do this report and the words aren't coming. You know what you've got to do? You've got to get.
Yeah, I think we all get that from time to time, don't we?
Yeah, get up, get out, go for a walk, have a cup of coffee. And that change of physiology, you see, from a neuroscience point of view, the way we think is attached to our physiology. So if we get up and move about, we completely change our thought process up here. And you know what? That sometimes illuminates new concepts, new methods, and new approaches that when we sit back down again, all of a sudden, we're in it. But in terms of time, Steve, the only thing I would say to you, take regular breaks, drink lots of water, and total immersion into that task.
Cool. Thanks for that, mate. Paula Rudd just made a good point and got a question here, John. Working from home without the kids was great. I was structured and set a start and finish time and had a break. I made difficult calls for the first few hours and emails and easier stuff when I was a little bit more tired. But now my 5 and 3-year-olds are at home fighting and bickering and wanting snacks every 5 minutes, which is hard. How common is this? I'm sure. I try to set them up with TV or games before I start tasks, but they are young. What can you recommend with very young children to not get interrupted? There's a tough one for you, pal.
Yeah. Well, listen, having had the girls from when they were young, arts and crafts is always good, but you never know what kind of what state your kitchen's going to be when you come back to you. But I think I'd involve them with my work. I'd say to them, look, you know, I've got to do a piece of work, kids. But I need you to, my piece of work is about something. I need you to draw me a story of how that piece of work should look. Give them a pen, stick them down there, get them to draw the story of your work, whatever it might be. Yeah. You know, Dad's got to design, you know, if you come to our world from old Steve, you know, Dad's got to write a report about how a car should operate. Yeah. So do me a favour. Here's a piece of paper. Go and sit yourselves down there. Draw for me on a piece of paper. Now think about it. How should a car operate? That's all I've got in my locker, Steve. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem, mate. You might struggle with the 3-year-old there, Paula. So apologies for that. But yeah, it's a challenge, obviously. Samantha says, in terms of parents with young children, what you recommended with the Pomodoro technique to incorporate and balance them in your working from home routine. What would you? I suppose, you know, it's 25 minutes and then a break and just doing whatever you can. I mean, obviously everyone's kids are different. Some are a little bit more lively than others, and it's difficult. And I think, you know, it's just a case of you will find your right balance. Tim Gray, morning, Tim. What are your tips for remotely communicating with colleagues that previously you used to be able to talk to directly? Anything on that, John?
Well, like I said in the session there, Tim, Connection. Find time in your working day to connect with people. You know, your WhatsApp groups are always very good, aren't they? Create your Facebook groups, anything where you can connect with somebody. But when you're immersed into that 25 minutes, remember, don't allow yourself to be distracted. Come back to it at the end of the 25 minutes, pick your phone up, get some connection. Agree a mutually agreeable time at the end of the day where you can debrief each other on what's gone well. And for those of you who've never attended our leadership retreats, here's the debrief process. It's a very straightforward one. Thinking about our day to day, what's gone well for us? They're the questions. What's gone well? Thinking about our day, what have we found tricky, challenging? And if I had today all over again, what would I be doing differently in order to get a better result? Yeah. So I would ring you, Steve, at the end of my working day, and I'd say to you, Steve, let's just debrief each other for today. What's gone well for you today? And you'd go blah 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 blah. Yeah. What have you found tricky or challenging or difficult today, Steve? This, and this. And okay, and if you had today all over again, then in order to be more effective, more productive for yourself, what would you do differently then, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm coaching you through an end of day brief, and we're getting that connectivity, which is what Maslow is pointing out to us that we all need.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure as well. You know, Tim, the business that he works with in Anthony Pepe in North London, I'm sure on a daily basis they have. I mean, Zoom's been a revelation, hasn't it, for everyone? I mean, I talk to my daughters every day on Zoom rather than phoning because it's just nice to have that interaction face to face. So I'm sure within businesses they're set up so that they've got either I mean, certainly some of the businesses I work with have a morning Zoom call, they have an afternoon Zoom call, and do just that. They just debrief at the end of the day. So yeah, just keep interacting, but don't let it interfere with whatever tasks you've got to do during the day. Good stuff, John. John, will crack on, and then any more questions, keep them coming, guys. We'll take them at the end.
Yeah, we'll do, Steve. We'll do. So let's just come back to our board. Okay, so that was tip number 7, wasn't it? Check in with everybody. And we were talking about personal goals, weren't we? I'm sure we were. And that's where I'd like to go now. So let's just check, make sure we're off and running. There we go. There we go. You know, guys, now is the time to work on you. Now is the time to invest into your future self. Reinventing yourself, ready for this new world ahead. And we don't know what that new world's going to look like, do we? There's 3 outcomes as I see it, talking to business leaders. And the outcomes are that radically everything changes, complete and utter change in everything. Minimal change or no change at all. Now, quite frankly, I think like a lot of people, and I'm sure some of you will recognize this, we have been on a massive hamster wheel, haven't we? We've been spinning and spinning and spinning. The reset button's been pressed, and the old world is going to merge into this new world, whatever it looks like. So now is the time to reinvent ourselves so that we're a credible person with the right strengths for whatever our business will look like in the future. Reinventing ourselves. If you wish to take your performance and your results to another level when you return, you've got to work from home by working on yourself. You've got to find time to work on you. You've got to develop your skills, increase your knowledge, and challenge your habits. And Lawrence alluded to habits earlier. Those 3 components are the components that will drive performance: knowledge, skills, and habits. It's time to give ourselves a checkup from the neck up, if you like. That time will be well spent in discovering where you currently are against the winning key competencies needed to fill your role. If you want to earn more, you have to learn more. You have to make yourself a magnet to the income stream. The quality and the depth of your skills, your knowledge and habits determine how much of that income stream will come your way. Now, there's another component in all this that influences your results, and of course, as we know, that's your attitude, isn't it? You can be highly skilled, but if you've allowed stinking thinking, if you've caught the stinking thinking virus, then your results are going to be nowhere what your true potential could be. So now here's the thing. I know you all have a winner's mentality because Steve's already told me that. So what would a winner be doing whilst at home in the realm of personal development? The winners amongst you would be educating yourselves. And remember, education is your passport to a greater future. Now is the time to educate yourself to another level of performance. So I'd really advise you to watch all the TED Talks, tune into Agency Mentor webinars, read a book, seek new knowledge, write down that new knowledge, write it down in a journal, turn the knowledge into a skill, practice the skill, and take that skill once you've practiced it and mastered it into and reinforce it with new winning habits. And when you do that, your income will grow. Wasting time on not developing you whilst at home will prove to be a lost opportunity. You really should develop yourself without a doubt. And I wouldn't waste a minute of the opportunity we've got right now. I would certainly be looking at how I can grow and how I can become more and make myself more valuable to my clients and my business. So what else would a winner be doing? Well, you know, at this stage, a winner would be setting new fresh targets for themselves. And if you think about it, anyone who has accomplished great things have had a great aim to go for. They fixed their gaze on a goal which was incredibly high, one that sometimes seemed impossible. Now, before you can achieve anything in your life, you have to know what you want. And your goals can only be reached through a real plan, a vehicle that will get you there, and one that you must believe and one that you must act on. There's no other route to success. You have to set goals that almost seem out of reach. And if you set a goal that is attainable easily without much work, you're probably going to be stuck below your true talent and potential. Now, in our business and as an individual, I've always set massive goals, and then I've turned myself into the person capable of achieving them. The process is straightforward. The goals have to come first. And then the reflection on the development. Where am I now? What do I want to get to? What will I need to learn to get me there? You know, those admired leaders out there understand the concept of they're goal creators in all areas of their business and their work. And they work with individuals to set goals that drive people towards their aspirations. Set yourself big goals, because small goals don't have the power to stir your blood. Now, to help you, in the toolkit that I'm going to send you, you will find some absolutely fantastic visualization tools and a clear goal setting formula to help you on your way. And I'll also share with you how you make these work. Yeah, because here's the thing, if we can visualize it, the chances are we'll get emotionally attached to it, and therefore our goals become more of a reality to be achieved. So our next tip I'm going to go to is tip number 9, again in the toolkit section. It's a personal SWOT analysis. So for some of you managers and leaders out there, you've probably done a SWOT analysis on the business. For those of you who haven't, it's quite straightforward. The S stands for strengths, the W stands for weakness, O is for opportunities, and the T stands for threats. So to help you deep dive into some of these areas of you whilst you're at home, put this SWOT process into place and take yourself through the questioning method, but be brutally honest with yourself. Again, I've included this process in the toolkit. So if you look at some of these questions, you know, what am I good at? Write it down. What skills do I have? Get them all out. What are my empowering beliefs? My empowering beliefs, I've got a real positive energy. I'm fantastic on the telephone. What are my useful habits? Well, I structure my day. I continuously stay in touch with my contacts. Get those useful habits out. But be brutally honest with yourself when you get to the other side. What is it that I'm not so good at? Well, you know what? I'm not so good at this. I'm not so good at that. What are the limiting beliefs that hold you back? Now, limiting beliefs, guys and gals, are those little negative thought viruses that pop up into our head. That customer won't want me intruding right now. That person won't think I'm capable of that kind of thing. Now, all those little things, that little baggage that we've been given and held on to over the years, that we really truly need to let go of. What do I avoid doing that I should do? What do I need to face up to? And what are my bad habits? Get all those things, answer those questions, write them down. And that will help things become a little bit clearer about where you need to develop. And then when we think about opportunities, you know, what skills can I further develop to be better in my role? Who can help me? Who can help me? And when we think about that one, somebody 9 times out of 10 has already got the skill that you want. You know, now's the time to connect with them, isn't it? Help them understand. I'm doing a piece of research on e-learning and online learning, and I've reached out to a Dr. Katie Jordan from Cambridge University, and I've never met her before in my life, but she has a skill that I needed to tap into, and she very kindly connected with me on LinkedIn, and she shared a whole host of information that's helped me develop me in an area that I wanted to work on. So people are being really helpful and open and honest at this moment in time. So now's a good time to connect with people who have got the skills. They'll share that knowledge. The next thing is, obviously, you know, when you look at your weaknesses, what are your threats exposed to? What are those weaknesses exposed to you? And here's the thing. Your skill set is always declining. Now, I hate to tell you that, but your skill set is always declining. Let me explain what I mean. Some of the skills that we have, when we step into the new world, whatever that new world looks like, when we go back into workplace and things are different, some of those skills, A, might not be necessary because the tasks that we're doing are no longer exactly the same, but B, they might be irrelevant. We need a new set of skills. So working out, being honest with yourself, this is going to help you develop in the areas to improve yourself. But everything you do, don't forget, is supported by a habit. And I'm going to look at habits a little bit later. So consider putting yourself through this SWOT analysis process. It will be in your toolkit for you. And let's take a look at top tip number 10 from working at home. If you remember what we said back to VUCA, V-U-C-A, we've no idea what the new world would look like and how quickly change will take place. The global reset button has been set, as we know. We've all had a reality check as to what is and isn't important to us. I think methods of working will undoubtedly change. Home working may well, for some businesses, be a constant reality. That might be our new reality. We might see a more massive shift to a more digital lifestyle. Now, in car world, let me share some information for you. In automotive industry, it's already possible to create an account, look at some cars, put them into a basket, look at multiple payment options, apply for finance, get a valuation on my part exchange, put a deposit down, sign a finance agreement online, and arrange for the vehicle to be delivered to my doorstep, all from the armchair at home. I do not need to step into a car dealership ever again. Now, dealers using this system are seeing a £300 to £500 profit increase per unit as negotiation is removed from the journey. Now, the interesting thing as well is those dealers who are using the system have already seen a rise in sales through this method from 12% in the first month to 33% inside of the first 3 months of this year. That's a 33% drop in visits to the bricks and mortar car showroom. And now 33% of the customers are driving to the virtual showroom, so to speak. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you it because following any adversity is opportunity. Somewhere out there will be the new disruptor, a creative agent who will be looking into your marketplace saying, what do we need to change? How can we revolutionize the estate agency world, the lettings world? Keeping you fresh, keeping you developed, growing you has to be a priority so that you don't get left behind. Success always leaves a trail. Seeking out those skills that successful people already have is where I'd be focused, that's for sure. Knowing your gaps is critical to moving you to that next level. So again, in the toolkit is a gap analysis tool, a strength analyzer tool, and a success component tool. Use them and it will become blatantly obvious to you where your next level of development needs to begin. Now, tip number 11, let's move on. Tip number 11, remember, you are a slave to your habits. Those people who have been successful out there have become successful because they have better habits than you. That's all. They've assembled better methods, better ways of doing things. You are a slave to your habits, they rule you. What I'd like you to do whilst you're at home is challenge them. Are they serving you well enough? Now, I've changed my habits while I've been at home. I've been getting up bang on at 6 o'clock. I found my energy flows between 6 and 9, and I can get so much done before the rest of the household wakes up. And I've changed that, and that is now a habit for me. Now, here's the thing. Anything that's been assembled can be disassembled. So once you find the weakness in your habits, you can disassemble it and put a more method, a more successful habit into place. Our character is basically a composite of our habits because they're consistent. They bring unconscious patterns. They consistently daily express our character. We live our world through our habits. So if you're going to achieve excellence in the big things, you've got to develop the habits in the little things. And like I said before, remember, anything that can be assembled can be disassembled. Look at your habits. Where are they not serving you best? I see habits. I've always looked at life as a series of experiments. Some of the things I do work and some of the things I do don't work. And here's the thing. Knowing what's working and what isn't is the key. And again, there's an exercise, as I said, around habits for you in that toolkit. So quickly on to tip number 12 then, our last tip. Just a quick quote here for you when we think about working from home around self-education. As you can see on the screen there, Jim Rohn said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Please, please, please don't waste the time that you've got available to develop you. I want to talk to you very quickly about a gentleman called Viktor Emil Frankl. He was an Austrian Jew, a neurologist and psychiatrist, as well as a Holocaust survivor. He survived Auschwitz, Kaufering, and Turkheim. I would imagine incredibly tough set of circumstances. He wrote an exceptional book, which some of you may well have read. If you haven't, get yourself on Amazon, get yourself a copy. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. It's based on his early life experiences. And he says in that book, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, the ability to choose our attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one own way. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. For what really matters is to bear witness to the unique human potential at its best, which is to transform tragedy into triumph, to turn one's current predicament into a human achievement. You know, guys and gals, now is the opportunity for us to take a good look at ourselves whilst we're at home. Let's not waste our time. Grow you, change you. Take a time to turn yourself into the person you've always wanted to be. Do that, and working from home will have been worthwhile. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's me done. I hope you found some interesting things in there for yourself. Look out for the toolkit when it comes through from Steve, and make sure you complete all the tasks in it.
That's great, John. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
Any other questions,
Thanks.
Steve?
Well, I've got one question, which I've just quickly before we go, guys. If you've got any questions for John, just Q&A them down at the bottom of the screen, and I'll fire them over to John now before we go. I've got a question that was sent through earlier before. Is it okay, John, to wear pajamas all day? I won't tell you who sent it.
I think I've got a feeling. I think I might have a good idea on that one. Funny enough.
Yeah. Yeah. She lives in your house.
Yeah. Guys and girls, look, dress to work. Yeah, dress to work. It's just something that I do, and you know, it puts me in my work mode. When I've got this shirt on, this is me. That's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone's different, aren't they?
You're going to do what you need to do. You feel, you know, if you feel comfortable in your pajamas, and that's where you can be the best version of you, then hey, who's to judge us today? No one.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, thank you very, very much for attending. John, thank you again. No doubt I will have you back on here in the next week or two. I know we've got a couple of bits and pieces planned. For those of you who would like to join us next week on Tuesday at 11, we've got the ICG webinar, which is a continuation of the one from a couple of weeks ago, how to cope with or how to deal with coming out of the other side of COVID-19. We've got some great panelists on there from a number of our members, and also from Agency World, we've got Simon Gerard, Asan Riaz, I think, from Location, if I remember rightly, and Pete Rollins. And on Wednesday, we've got another Agency Mentors webinar, which is around the legal side of things at the moment. So not only conveyancing and getting your deals through, but if anybody's got any questions re-furloughing and, you know, how to deal with that coming out the other side, and, you know, there are going to be a number of questions regarding that sort of stuff. We've got two solicitors with us from Atwell's, Nick Atwell and Lloyd Clark. We've got Ian White. We've also got Richard Megson from Assured Sales and Progression up north. Does what it does on the tin, obviously, sales progression. We've got Brian Mansell from Gazelle, and that's it. So a good lineup there on Wednesday. That's at 11 o'clock as well. But please join us. Thanks for joining us today. Stay safe, everybody. Really appreciate your involvement, and I will get out the toolkit that John's promised over the next 24 hours. So look for that in your inboxes, and I look forward to seeing you again as and when. Thank you very much. Cheers, John. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Okay, no problem at all. Guys and girls, stay safe. See you soon, no doubt. All the best.
Thank you. Cheers. Right, let me stop my stream. Should go off. Okay, so we're down on the live stream. John, I'm just going to end the meeting. I'll give you a call, mate, okay?
Cheers, pal. See ya.